And welcome back to the Oopa Loopa Cafe here on the 18th of January 2013. Here in this segment we have a story about how India either invaded or occupied or migrated to Australia 4,000 years ago, and then some actually. And they brought their dogs with them. And also later on we have a story about the Hurricane Sandy debacle on all the aid that was voted by Congress but isn't showing up anytime soon. And we have this hour's Temerity magazine with hoardermart. Love that guy. Love his hats. Anyway, 4,000, actually 4,100 years ago, 4,200 years ago, 4,230 years ago, or 141 generations back, a number of people from India arrived in Australia. Now, how do we know that? Well, a couple of things. First of all, the DNA evidence is very clear that Dravidian-speaking peoples, or at least from the same area of South India, arrived and apparently mixed with the Aboriginals of Australia that long ago, 141 generations ago. And it's interesting too that they brought some new tools with them, and they also brought apparently their dogs with them, or at least a few, because the dingo, you know, that strange Australian canine pain in the butt if you're a shepherd or a rancher, and a very efficient predator it is, apparently is very closely related to the South Indian dog, as well as some Southeast Asian dogs. At any rate, the evidence, both the tool making, the DNA, and the dingo arriving all at the same time, seems to make a pretty good and compelling case that there was transoceanic travel 4,100, 4,300 years ago, 141 generations back. Something that most of the academic world doesn't like to admit, that long ago people were already sailing across the oceans. Pretty cool, I think. Now, in addition to that, there are also cases in, let's say, the Channel Islands off California where people could not walk or swim because of currents and a lot of other things, and yet they arrived on those islands in excess of 14,000 years ago. At about the same time that the earliest known coprolite, or in that case paleofeces because it's human poop, was deposited in a cave in Oregon. We have a number of cases where there's some very old remains and or evidence that shouldn't be, if you believe the old paradigms, that no one was smart enough to do anything before we got here in our present form and state of education. However, the evidence is pretty clear, starting with India, going to Australia, finding a population that had already been there in excess of 40,000 years, and they didn't walk there either, and a lot of other things. People were sailing. People arrived on Crete 120,000 years ago and left tools behind. They didn't walk there either. And with regard to sailing the Indian Ocean from India to Australia, it's very possible too that they could have gotten into a monsoon and been swept there. And yet they had their dogs and they had their tool technologies and they had, who knows. But the monsoon is the segue into the Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Sandy aid. $9 billion voted by Congress, none of it has arrived. That's about $300 for each and every taxpayer that probably will never get there at all.
A gorgeous beach turned ghost area. The Rockaways in Queens, one of the places hit hardest by Hurricane Sandy 2.5 months ago, still in shambles today. Miles and miles of devastated businesses, residential buildings, and houses like this one, a place some family probably used to call home, now almost literally hanging by a thread, with almost zero chance of ever being rebuilt. Few locals on the collapsed boardwalk, most of them in dire need of help. This man, who chose to remain anonymous due to government-related work, survived Hurricane Katrina. His hopes of recovery post-Sandy are meager.
Ain't never going to move. You still go parts of Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, where they got hit with Katrina. A lot of that area just ain't been touched yet.
After Sandy hit in late October, he spent over a month with no electricity, heat, or hot water in 30-degree weather.
FEMA. 3 times I filled out an application, and 3 times I got sorry. Politicians have their priorities. The folks here that put them in office are the least on their list. Money looks better in your pocket than it is spending it on something that may get washed away again.
I had to replace my hot water heater.
Retired local Roberta Hoff, currently rebuilding her walls, floors, and stairs, says the destruction after the hurricane has been immense.
We don't have a movie theater. We don't have the hospital. It's gone. The banks are finally opening now. It's 2.5 months. It looks like it's after a war or after, in Afghanistan or something.
And most of the help in hurricane-affected areas has come from volunteers.
I didn't see too much of the Red Cross, to be truthful.
It was about
volunteers who have often been affected by Sandy themselves, like Ayman Yusuf from Staten Island.
actually it was like a foot on top of it. That's how much it was, the water here.
His house, deemed unsafe after the hurricane, is about to be demolished.
The only thing we need is the funds. The fund is not there to get help. You know, we're getting like 10%. Where we're going to get the 90%, that's a mystery. We need a check from God. That's what we need.
For a month and a half, Ayman lived in this tent, where he also set up a help center for the community.
Somewhere.
You have a lot of people coming here still today?
A lot, 600-700 people.
And
a day.
600-700 a
Yes,
day?
yes.
All of these people victims of Sandy.
Everybody around here, if you go up to them, they'll tell you the same thing. They said, they handed me a sandwich and a blanket, and I was in water up to my chest, and they said, hey, see you later. Oh, by the way, I'm not allowed to exit the truck.
Occupy Sandy, a child of the Occupy Wall Street movement, has been a big part of the recovery effort too, even praised by the NYPD.
What we have is a lot of people coming in here and not knowing where to turn, and some of them are in tears, and it's very hard to tell them that help is coming, and you hear all this talk about it, the $9 billion, $51 billion. That would be a big help if it actually got to communities.
While politicians seem to have perfected the skill of arguing over how much cash to spend on relief aid, getting money and help to ordinary people who need it right now is clearly a skill that is yet to be learned. Anastasia Churkina, RT, New York.
And now let's catch up with HoarderMart. He's probably the only guy who can keep up with me on hats. But, okay, he gets out more than I do.
Hi, this is Chad Everson, and this is Temerity Magazine. We come to you with 2 segments of relic and treasure hunters from across the world every day on Rick Osmond's the Oopaloopa Cafe. Don't forget about our online and in-print magazine. You can find it at temeritymag.com. Join us as an author. January 20th is our deadline for submissions, and all you have to do is email those submissions, photos, and links to your videos too, because we're always looking for people with temerity that can share their passion for this great addiction. Who knows, you might see yourself right here. Please send it to editor@temeritymagazine.com, and I hope you're getting inspired, Indiana, to get a little grizzly right in your own grizzly backyard, because you have an amazing history there, and it's just waiting for you to dig it up.
Greetings, Rick from the HoarderMart Institution. In our previous discussions, I told you as chief cardiologist we look into all realms of hoarding. And today we wanted to talk about a new facet of cyber hoarding that is taking the culture at full speed. There is a delightful site called Pinterest. Pinterest is a venue for electronic cyber hoarding. This unique form of hoarding allows one to take photos and videos and pin them to select boards that you develop of interest on Pinterest. It could be that the global warming is nothing more than a venue to open up more space in the cybernet for this new dimension of hoarding. There are certain benefits to this form of hoarding. You do not have to have a lot of external storage components. You simply complete file after file after file after file on your computer of photos, of photos, of photos, of photos, and more videos of your particular interest. It's easy to set up a page on Pinterest. You have your identifiable name of your page. You also can attach a website of your external pages. As you click on the photos, once they're pinned, other people will find your site and often your external website. So it is an excellent, and right now one of the highest driving forms to your location. So it can be a very, very big benefit of having people find you in the cyber world. So the HoarderMart Institute highly recommends and supports Pinterest to meet your OCD needs, the compulsive collecting, the sharing with others, and to minimize storage. An excellent hoarding method. Try it, Rick. Good stuff. Pinterest. Temerity magazine. We will tell you more in coming articles of Pinterest.
Get a little grizzly.